I can say right now that I am 100% college debt-free. It's possible. It's doable. Younger people, especially kids in high school, need to know that. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, my name is Maddie, and today I just wanted to talk to you guys about how I paid for my college out of pocket and didn't have to take out any loans. So I know in today's day and age it seems kind of crazy to pay for your entire college tuition out of pocket and not have to take any loans out, but it is definitely possible. And I'm not talking like it's gonna take you 20 years to graduate from college because you can take one class a semester. It took me 4 years, the regular amount of time that it's supposed to take you, I guess, in college, and I took out 0 loans. So I'm not really going to give any tips or tricks, I guess, on how to pay for college. I'm just really going to tell my story of how I did it because it's definitely a little bit different than how most people do it. And I got really lucky with a lot of different things, and I know that that definitely doesn't happen for most people. So, yeah, I'm just going to tell you my journey through college, and hopefully it will have some insightful things for those of you who may be thinking about going to college and trying to figure out how you're going to pay for all of it on your own. So first of all, I decided to go to community college when I was in high school. I think it was my senior year probably that I decided to go to community college. One of the biggest reasons was because my family, I have 7 siblings, so my parents definitely don't have a ton of money to be throwing around to pay for our college tuition. So, and I didn't do any, I played volleyball in high school, but I didn't have any kind of scholarships for sports. And I think I did get one scholarship for academics, but it was to a private college, not one that I wanted to go to. So I didn't really have that option. And of course, there's always scholarships you can apply for, and I applied for some online, but I didn't really do many. And there are a lot of people I know that got a lot of their college tuition paid for through scholarships, but you have to put in the work to apply to them and to research different scholarships and all of that. And I just didn't really look into that, mainly because I knew I would probably go to community college, so I wasn't that worried about it. So I decided to go to community college. My parents said that if I went to community college, they would pay for my classes for my associate's degree, and then I would only have the last 2 years when I transferred to a university that I would have to pay for on my own. So I actually moved out of my parents' house. It was the October after I graduated from high school. So I moved out when I was 18. My now fiance and I decided to move into an apartment together. It was closer to my school, and there was other reasons why I had to leave my parents' house. Not anything really bad. It was mainly because of space. I had an older brother come to live back at home, and my younger brother was still in high school, and he was living in the attic, and he actually has a heart issue. And so the winter time in the attic, even though it is insulated, it still was really hard on his breathing and things. So he had to move back into the main house, and we don't have that many bedrooms in our house, and so I was going to have to end up sharing a bedroom with my little brother while I was in college and he was in high school. And so yeah, there was just a lot of reasons why I just wanted to leave my parents' house. So I moved into an apartment with my boyfriend, and I was working. It was a part-time job, but I was really working about 40 to 45 hours a week, even though I was only working like 5 or 6 days out of the week. I was definitely making a lot of money during that time, and I actually started out my first semester in community college. I took one class. My second semester I took 2 classes. My third semester I took 3 classes. And then I don't remember how many I took my fourth semester, but it kind of just went up from there. So I started out not taking that many classes, so I was making a lot of money working at the restaurant as a server, and I wasn't taking that many classes. So I actually ended up paying for my classes out of pocket. My parents helped whenever they could, but there were a lot of different circumstances happening, and since I was making a lot of money and I was independent and not living at home and things, it just kind of made more sense for me to pay for my classes on my own, and then my parents said that they would help me later on when I started taking more classes and things like that. So that's basically how it started out. Community college is definitely way cheaper than a university, so it was pretty easy to pay out of pocket, and they have payment plans, so I wasn't paying a huge amount at once. And I also wasn't paying, I didn't have a car payment or car insurance that I had to pay for either. I was using my grandma's car that was under her insurance and everything, so I didn't really have a lot of bills to pay for as well. So my second year of community college, I was taking more classes, and my parents still were not able to help me financially fully with my tuition, so it definitely got a little bit harder, but I was still making good money at the restaurant, and my boyfriend definitely helped out with helping me pay for, groceries or like things like that, so I was making it. Then my parents decided to tell me that I needed to start paying for the insurance for my grandma's car, which I wasn't too excited about, but I understood. I was kind of really lucky to not have to pay for any of that, especially not living in my parents' house, and I was using my grandma's car. I lived 40 minutes away from my parents' house, and I was still using her car, and she lived in my parents' home with them. So, it kind of made sense, so I couldn't be really too upset about it, but I kind of decided that if I was going to be paying for car insurance, and I was already paying for like the oil changes and all the gas and all of that I might as well just get my own car. So I decided to buy a car. A little bit after I bought that car, my grandma's car was actually crashed into in our apartment complex. So the car was parked in a handicap spot, because at this apartment complex you had to have a sticker on your car to be able to park in the parking lot outside of your building. And since I had 2 cars now, my grandma's car still and my new car, I put the sticker on my new car, and I parked my grandma's car in the handicap parking at in the visitors parking, so that it wouldn't get towed. And because she actually had a handicap little thing that you hang up in the window, whatever that's called. And so I figured, if the car was parked in the handicap spot, it would be safe and fine, whatever. Turns out it ended up getting crashed into by some guy who was like on drugs, and he was speeding through the parking lot, and he didn't turn in time. He was going so fast that the truck hit the next car, which hit the next car, which hit the next car, which hit my grandma's car. It was like a whole line of cars that were all just like pushed into each other, and it was pretty ridiculous. But my grandma's car, since it was an older car, it actually was totaled, and we were paid a bigger sum than we expected for this car. And although my parents wanted half of it, of course I got the other half, because I was the one who was taking care of it and everything. that money definitely helped with paying for my classes my second semester. Then once I finally got my associate's degree in December of 2015, I decided to go to a local university, and so I started going to this university for one semester. I was taking 3 classes. My friend was actually going to the university as well, and so I really thought I was going to like it. Turns out they didn't offer any online classes, which I thought was ridiculous, and I don't know how I missed that when I was doing my research on the university and I applied to it and everything. So that was kind of a bummer, and it definitely interfered with my work schedule, and that's when things started kind of get a little like, And also on top of that, they had given me a $700 grant from transferring from a community college. It was like a community college grant or something like that, and they awarded it to me, and then halfway through the semester they decided to tell me that I wasn't actually eligible for it because I was only taking 3 classes instead of 4, so I was considered part-time instead of a full-time student. So I just all of a sudden one day owed them $700, and I was super upset about it, and it was just another reason on top of the list of reasons why this school was not working out for me. But thankfully this was a spring semester, so my tax refund came in and I was able to pay that $700 back, because also, if you don't know this, if you pay for your own school out of pocket, you get a lot of that money back in your tax refund. So I think like the maximum amount you can get back is like $2,500. So that definitely helps. And you can also put in, if you have receipts, you can put in how much you paid for your school supplies and all of that, and that also goes towards the money that you get back. So that is definitely a huge lifesaver, because you are paying for it out of pocket, and so it's nice to have some of that money back, versus other kids who are going to school, and yeah, like eventually they're gonna have to pay back those loans, and they're gonna have interest on the loans and stuff like that, but while they're in school, there's no stress. Like I remember my sister, she went to a very expensive university, and she definitely had to take out loans, but she got to be in a sorority and do all these things, and because she had those loans, and she didn't have to pay for anything on her own, so it's just a little bit less stressful while you're in school. In the long run, I think it's definitely better to pay out of pocket, and I think most people would say that, because then you don't end up having all of these loans, and you don't have to freak out about not getting a job right out of college, because you need to start paying those loans back. But anyways, I'm getting off topic. So I stopped going to that university after that spring semester, and I decided to switch to an online university. Well, they have a real campus in Virginia Beach, but I decided to go to their online school of communications, and it was great. It was a private Christian university, and so they had so many grants that I literally ended up paying for like one class the whole first semester I went there, and I think I took like 4 or 5 classes that semester, and I only ended up paying for one class because of all of the grants and scholarships that I got for the private college. So that was really, really nice. So during this whole time, the new car I had got was a 2013 Volkswagen Golf TDI. So it was a diesel, and there was this whole emissions scandal that I don't know how many people heard about it, but basically Volkswagen got in trouble because they did something to the cars that made them pass emissions tests when really they didn't pass the emissions like standard or guideline for the US. And so there was a lawsuit, and basically Volkswagen had to pay a settlement to all of the people that owned or leased some of their vehicles. And I can't remember now if it was just diesel or not, but my car qualified, and so I ended up getting paid a pretty good amount of money from Volkswagen for that. So this is part of what I said, like, a lot of this stuff doesn't happen to most people. I just got really lucky. I had a bunch of random events happen where I was just getting money back. I mean, obviously, there were things that came with that, like with the scandal, the emissions scandal with my car. I had to give my car back to get that money. You know, I didn't just get that money and I got to keep my car. You had to give the car back to Volkswagen, and then they would give you money, and they also paid off, you know, whatever you owed on the car. So they would pay off your car for you, and then you also got a cash settlement back. But that meant that I had to buy a new car. So, you know, there was some good with the bad. So basically, I also had to stop working as much as I had been because I was taking more classes. I was definitely trying to graduate within the 4 years, and I know not everybody only goes to college for 4 years. Some people do a gap year between high school and college, or they take a semester off, or, you know, it takes them 5, 6 years. It just depends on your situation and, you know, what you're doing in as part of your degree. But I just really wanted to get my bachelor's after 4 years. I just was like, not done with it, because I loved school and I loved learning, and I'm actually thinking about going back to get my master's. I'm excited about it. But I don't know, I didn't want to be in college forever. I just wanted to get my degree, you know, and like have it and just be done with that part of my life, I guess. I started to take a whole bunch of classes and I couldn't work as much. So it was definitely getting really, really difficult to pay for my classes out of pocket. So what I started to do was, instead of taking out loans, I started putting some of my classes on a credit card. And I know that, you know, a lot of people might advocate against that, but just it made more sense to me to do it that way, because then I could make payments, you know, on my credit card versus getting a loan. And yeah, I wouldn't have to pay for it at first, but then the interest rate on the loans are just like ridiculous, and it would just be something hanging over my head. And I always said that I wasn't going to take out loans, and so I just thought that this would be the best way. So I started putting classes on a credit card. Then my last semester in the spring of 2017, I ended up taking 8 classes that semester. So I was taking some of my electives at the community college that I had gone to previously, and then I was taking my classes online at the university. And so I was able to take twice as many classes as you're normally allowed to take in a semester, because I was doing it at 2 different schools. So I just kind of doubled down and was taking so many classes, and it was really expensive. And I'm going to be real with you guys right now. At one point, I think this was right after Christmas too, I legit had $50 in my bank account. Like, that's it. And I'm normally... Okay, sorry, I had to check and make sure my camera was actually recording. I don't know, I had like a weird feeling that it wasn't recording this whole time, and I was like... Anyways, I was so used to, you know, making good money at the restaurant and being that person in the family who could like lend money out to my siblings or go and like buy, you know, whatever I wanted, whenever I wanted, and do things and all of that. And so hitting that kind of rock bottom was really hard for me. It took a lot, and I definitely don't think that I would have stayed as strong through that point in my life if it wasn't for my boyfriend and my family, because it was just a point in my life where I'd never been before, and it was kind of scary. And it's funny because I know people always joke about like, oh, you're a broke college student, you know, like I'm broke, I'm in college. And, you know, for me, it wasn't like that. I always had money. And so actually being a broke college student was a little scary. So basically, I just decided I had to grind at that point. I was like, I need to work. I need money. I have to pay off my classes on my credit card. I had to buy a new laptop because my freaking laptop decided to just be ridiculously slow. I couldn't do anything on it, so I had to buy a new laptop. There was like all these different things, and I just was like, you're just gonna have to hustle. Like, that's all it is. And so I crammed out those classes. I just worked until I hated my life. And basically, that's kind of how I finished with that. I graduated from college in May of 2017. And I, still had some debt on my credit cards that I had to pay off. So, I continued working through the summer and everything like that to pay those off. But I can say right now that I am 100% college debt free. It's just a nice feeling. And this year was my last year that I got my tax refund with my credit for paying for school. And so I still get that, money back now. And it's definitely a weight off my shoulders. I hear so many people talk about how, they're doing these jobs that isn't even in the field that they studied, for 2 or 4 years in college, just because they need to start making money so they can pay off their loans and all of this. And it's just really sad to not have those opportunities, to do what you want to do because you have obligations, that you have to take care of, is definitely unfortunate. And I feel very blessed to be in the situation that I am in. And that's why this video is so important to me, because I want other people to know that, well, one, if you've seen my very first video where I basically rant about how college is a scam, that you don't have to do the normal college route where you go and live on campus and take out loans for all 4 years and, all of that. There's other ways you can do it. You have to do your research. There's grants, there's scholarships, put your classes on a credit card, work part-time or even full-time while you're in college. It's possible. It's doable. And it's definitely worth it in the long run. And I think younger people, especially kids in high school, need to know that. They need to have people telling them that, there are other things you can do. And even now, I would say, if you know what you want to do, look into trade schools. If there's a trade you can do, trade schools are a less amount of time. They're normally cheaper than going to college, and you can get a job faster, like right after you get your certification in your trade. You can just get a job and you're good to go. So there's definitely a lot of different options out there, and I just really want to let people know that everybody's situation is different and you don't have to do what everybody else is doing. So, just do what you want to do and what makes you happy and what you think is right. Because, when I was going to community college, it wasn't the popular option, and I didn't care about that. I was more focused on getting the education that I wanted for the cheapest amount possible, because I knew that I was going to be paying for it. So that's just the way I decided to go. And there's definitely benefits as well. All of the experiences, that you get to do when you go and live on campus, and the people you meet and things like that, that's irreplaceable. But you just have to know what's more important to you, and you have to decide which path you're going to take, basically. So yeah, hopefully this video wasn't too long. I really appreciate you guys following my journey after college, trying to find a job and all of that goodness. Please comment down below if you have a story you want to share about your college experience, or if you didn't go to college and what you did after high school, or any advice that you have for people, because I definitely think that kids need to know their options more than ever nowadays. There's so many different routes you can take after high school, and going to a 4-year university and taking out loans is probably not even one of the top or best options, I would say, or smartest option that kids should take with the economy and things like that nowadays. So definitely give this video a thumbs up, and please subscribe if you're not already. Subscribe to my channel, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.